Underdog stories truly are the most captivating story. Don't believe me? Then explain to me why a film like Rocky or Slumdog Millionaire are so successful. These films remind us no matter how insurmountable the obstacles may seem, with determination, perseverance, and a little bit of luck, anything is possible. When we apply this to sports, and more specifically, football, the element of a script is fully taken out of the context of the story, which makes the unlikely victory even sweeter. Look at a team like Leicester, for instance. The East Midlands side began the 2015-16 season as betting favorites for relegation. And wouldn't you know it, one of the greatest underdog stories ever was being created. Leicester went on to win the Premier League during their second season back in the Premier League. Whether you are willing to admit it or not, underdogs are what keeps sports alive. Who wants to see Manchester City win every trophy? No one. Aside from Man City fans, I guess. But even then, it probably gets pretty boring. I am constantly looking for an underdog team to cause a massive upset. These stories don't always happen, so when they do, it makes the underdog's triumph even more meaningful. The Champions League this year just so happens to have an underdog story building. In this video, we're going to reflect on Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid's seasons as we build up to one final game. Will Borussia Dortmund be the latest in a distinguished line of underdog stories? Or will one of the giants of football crush this dream? If you want to have the ultimate underdog story told about you, you should probably join the 295 Big Bucks and subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. To start out, I want to touch on Real Madrid. This season was great for Real Madrid. In La Liga, they rarely had any competition. Midway through the year, Girona were hot on their tail. Another underdog story I was hoping to come to fruition, and it kinda did with Champions League football next year, but that underdog story fizzled out quickly after, and Madrid did not wait to claim their La Liga title. Girona kept it within 10 to 15 points, but Real Madrid never looked back. On the 4th of May, Real Madrid were announced La Liga champions for the 36th time. Their play surprised no one. Madrid, since match week 6, are unbeaten and they deserve their title fully. In all of Europe, Madrid has been one of the most dominant teams all season. In the Champions League, Madrid have not taken a loss. They went 6-0 in the group stage to move into the knockout rounds. The knockout rounds were where things got interesting for Madrid. They have yet to face a challenge this year, only being beaten once in La Liga and losing in the Copa del Rey round of 16. In the round of 16 in the Champions League, though, they narrowly beat Red Bull Leipzig 2-1 on aggregate, with a very admirable showing for the German side. Probably the toughest battle for Madrid all year was when they played Manchester City in the quarterfinals. This was one of the most exciting quarterfinals I've ever seen. The 8 teams gave it their all and thoroughly entertained with goal scoring and late drama. Madrid and City went 3-3 in Bernabeu and then 1-1 in the Etihad, where obviously Madrid emerged victorious, winning 4-3 on penalties. In the semi-finals, Bayern put up a noble fight. Some people would argue the officials robbed us of a German Classico with a poor offsides call. For me, I don't care either way, and Madrid narrowly escapes up 4-3 on aggregate. That brings us to here and now. Madrid have made the finals again. While I think Madrid are very much the opposite of an underdog team, I think this Champions League final is incredibly important for them to win for a different reason that you may not expect. This summer, Real Madrid are supposed to sign a very expensive player for next season. Buck, with Mbappe joining Madrid, they should be unstoppable and win every Champions League going forward forever. Well, that is a notion that I disagree with. And we have all of Mbappe's PSG career that will prove otherwise. This is a very important final for Madrid because we truly have no idea what will happen going forward. I personally think Mbappe will not fit in Madrid for a multitude of reasons, but that is for a video in the future. I will leave it here. With Messi and Neymar, Mbappe, who is probably the most talented player in the world right now, could not win in Europe once. I wish all the best for Madrid and Mbappe, but I am not sure that this is the best move for the club. I think it's important for Madrid to capitalize now while they have a truly excellent team. This is not a free win though. Borussia Dortmund have been counted out all season, yet here they are in the Champions League final. This is the underdog story we are here to talk about. If I am indifferent on a football match, I will always, without fail, root for the underdog. With Borussia Dortmund, potential European winners, what more can we ask for here? Dortmund's season in the Bundesliga has been below expectation. Dortmund lost one of their best players this year, coincidentally to Real Madrid. Jude Bellingham is an elite central midfielder who was bought up by Madrid for £115 million. This season was always going to be an adjustment for Dortmund, but coming in 5th place seems like a bit of a slide. It is tougher knowing that their rival, the Bavarian Giants, lost their first Bundesliga in 12 years, and it wasn't even at Dortmund's hand. Leverkusen have been absolutely dominant, breaking unbeaten records all across Europe. So, Dortmund did not have much of a shot to win the Bundesliga as it stands, but I'm sure Dortmund fans would have loved to finish above Bayern. Dortmund haven't finished out of the top 4 in a decade. Luckily, Germany has a coefficient spot, and Dortmund will be in the Champions League, even with a 5th place finish. This season has been somewhat of a letdown in the Bundesliga for Dortmund. They looked beatable all year, which culminated in a loss to relegation battle side Mainz, 3-0 in match week 33. Now you can argue Mainz have a lot more to play for in the Bundesliga, but the point is, it's not been a great year for Dortmund. Dortmund have had a really two-faced year, because even though I just said they haven't been great, in many ways, Dortmund are looking to make this their best season maybe ever. In the Champions League, Dortmund started off the group stage with maybe the hardest group out of all of them. The group have bloated PSG, a great young AC Milan team, and a strong Premier League side in Newcastle. Dortmund topped the group, only losing one game in Paris. Dortmund went on and beat the Dutch side PSV 3-1 on aggregate in the round of 16. And in the quarterfinals, they had one of the most exciting performances, beating Atletico Madrid 5-4 on aggregate. Most people thought this Cinderella story would come to an end here. Dortmund had been struggling to keep pace in the Bundesliga all year, and now have to go up against a team that wants to buy a championship so badly. PSG and Dortmund faced off in the semis, and even I sat back and thought, no way can Dortmund win this. Dortmund advances to the final, winning 2-0 on aggregate. The numbers were not pretty for Dortmund, as PSG had 3 more expected goals than them in the second leg alone. It didn't matter though, as they booked their ticket. This Champions League is so important for Dortmund. Dortmund have only won the Champions League one time in 96-97. This is Dortmund's opportunity to write one of the best underdog stories in the Champions League. For fans around the world, an underdog story touches all. It's hard not to feel for a club who's beaten down, but against all odds, faces the giant and comes out victorious. This is a story that has been around forever, and this final is no different. This Champions League final means more to the underdog. Not to pick on Madrid, because I actually quite like Madrid. It's one of the only major European clubs I've actually been to in person. But Madrid has the most Champions League out of any team in Europe. This is just another trophy for them. But if Dortmund take this home, the underdog wins another major trophy. The story lives on forever, and the city of Dortmund can celebrate the hardest fought victory.